Price is the exchange value of a good or service. Price does not necessarily denote money. Prices are both difficult to set and dynamic. They shift in response to a number of variables. So, to begin with, how are prices determined? Chapter 18 is the first of 2 chapters devoted to pricing decision and strategies. There are legal constraints placed on pricing. The Robinson-Patman Act is a federal law that prohibits price discrimination in sales to wholesalers, retailers, and other producers when it is not based on a cost differential or on meeting price competition in good faith. Unfair trade laws are state laws requiring sellers to maintain specified minimum prices for comparable merchandise. State fair trade laws permit manufacturers to stipulate minimum retail prices for their products and require their retail dealers to sign contracts agreeing to abide by these prices. These laws became invalid with the passage of the Consumer Goods Pricing Act. Pricing objectives can be classified into 4 major groups: profitability, volume, meeting competition, and prestige objectives. Profitability objectives indicate that prices should be set with profits in mind. Even not-for-profit organizations have to set prices high enough to meet expenses. Volume objectives are based on the belief that pricing seeks to maximize sales within a given profit constraint. Meaning, if a minimum acceptable profit level is set, marketers can then seek to maximize sales. Many firms base prices on simply meeting competitors' prices, especially those of established industry leaders, which de-emphasizes price and focuses on other variables. Prestige pricing sets a high price to maintain an image of quality and exclusiveness that appeals to status-conscious consumers, while reflecting an overall image of the firm and its product offerings. Customary prices are retail prices consumers expect as a result of tradition and social habit. Candy makers have attempted to maintain traditional price levels by greatly reducing overall product size. Sometimes customary prices hide a real price increase. However, when the quantity of the product has been imperceptibly reduced. There are 4 types of market structures based on the economic theory. Pure competition is a market structure characterized by homogeneous products in which there are so many buyers and sellers that none has a significant influence on price. Monopolistic competition is a market structure that involves a heterogeneous product and product differentiation among competing suppliers, allowing the marketer some degree of control over prices. Oligopoly is a market structure in which relatively few sellers compete and where high startup costs form barriers to keep out new competitors. Monopoly is a market structure in which a single seller dominates trade in a good or service for which buyers can find no close substitute. Marginal analysis is the method of analyzing the relationship among costs, sales price, and increased sales volume. They identify profit maximization as the point at which the addition of total revenue is just balanced by the increase in total cost. Marketers must resolve a basic problem of how to achieve this delicate balance when they set prices. Relatively few firms actually hit this elusive target. A significantly larger number prefer to direct their effort toward more realistic goals. Elasticity is the measure of change in demand for a product resulting in a change in its price. When a 1% change in price causes more than 1% change in quantity demanded, that demand is said to be elastic. When a 1% change in price causes less than 1% change in quantity demanded, that demand is said to be inelastic. High elasticity means that even a small change in the price of a product will lead to a significant change in consumer demand for that product. Low elasticity means that changes in price, large or small, will not affect demand as much. Cost-plus pricing is the practice of adding a percentage of specified dollar amount or markup to the base cost of a product to cover unassigned costs and to provide a profit. Cost-plus pricing often works well for a business that keeps its costs low, allowing it to set its prices lower than those of competitors and still make a profit. There are practical problems in applying price theory concepts to actual pricing decisions. Price theory is the process of evaluating and setting prices. Certain practical problems related to price theory reduce its applicability to actual pricing decisions. Firstly, many firms do not attempt to maximize profit. Secondly, it's hard to estimate demand curves, and although demand itself can be identified, it is often difficult to measure in real-world setting. Finally, demand curves are based on marketing research estimates that may be less accurate than cost figures, so demand is difficult to measure. Break-even analysis is a pricing technique used to determine the number of products that must be sold at a specified price to generate enough revenue to cover total cost. Locating the break-even point can assist in price determination. After the break-even point, sufficient revenues have been obtained to cover all fixed costs. So it is an effective tool for marketers in evaluating the required level of sales needed in order to cover costs plus achieve specified profit levels. It assists in deciding whether required sales levels for a certain price are realistic goals and clarifies the relationship between the break-even point and fixed and variable costs. If a firm's costs are fixed, the only way to make a profit is through higher numbers of sales transactions. Yield management strategies vary prices based on such factors as demand, even though the cost of providing those goods and services remain the same. It maximizes revenues in many industries and business situations in which costs are fixed. Examples: theater and sports tickets, lodging, auto rental, airfares. There are practical problems in applying price theory concepts to actual pricing decisions. Price theory is the process of evaluating and setting prices. Certain practical problems related to price theory reduce its applicability to actual pricing decisions. Firstly, many firms do not attempt to maximize profit. Secondly, it's hard to estimate demand curves, and although demand itself can be identified, it is often difficult to measure in real-world setting. Finally, demand curves are based on marketing research estimates that may be less accurate than cost figures, so demand is difficult to measure. To be successful internationally, a firm needs to face the challenge of setting prices in a global environment. A firm's global pricing must reflect its overall marketing strategy and support its broader goals, such as product development, advertising and sales, customer support, planning, and financial objectives. The pricing objectives used by a global firm are the same as those used generally: profitability, volume, meeting competition, prestige, and price stability, although achieving them is a tad more difficult. For instance, price stability is hard to maintain in a global market because events like wars, terrorism, economic downturns, changing governments and political parties, and shifting trade policies can significantly alter prices. This chapter, we learn that pricing concepts are critical to all business, especially in e-business, which allows quick comparisons, on-the-spot negotiations, auctions, and lets customers name the prices. Online price comparison engines, known as shopping bots, help customers find products at the lowest price. Reverse auctions, which allow customers to submit the highest price they are willing to pay, is gaining popularity in B2B purchasing. Also, we learned that e-business allows prices to be flexible in response to market conditions.